I know what you're thinking right off the bat. Orange chicken is a traditional Chinese meal, and I'm some pasty white Amish looking fellow, and while the latter half of that is true, I did some research, and orange chicken, at least that we know, popularized by Panda Express here in the States, is an American-Chinese hybrid food. And there's nothing more American than taking something delicious and beautiful and commodifying it to become a deep-fried fast food. So that's exactly what we're going to do here today. Now let's start on the cream cheese wontons. We've chosen cream cheese wontons today because my wife is severely allergic to crabs and any other sort of crustaceans or weird creatures with carapaces. So today we're just going to be sticking to the cream cheese variety, but I'll be adding some extra stuff in there for flavor as well. Alright, let's go ahead and get a look at the ingredients we're using here today. First off, we've got the wonton wraps here. You can acquire them from any local grocery store. It doesn't really matter what you use. You could even use spring roll wraps if you were so inclined, but we're just going with the regular wonton wraps today. We've also got cheese of the cream variety from Great Value, an esteemed brand, locally sourced. We've also got some hoisin sauce. This is really good. We've got some low sodium soy sauce because I'm a punk and I can't handle the real stuff. I've also got some sriracha here for a little bit of heat. And then we've also got the legendary Dad Island jug of orange juice. That will come in handy. That's a secret weapon, if you will. We're gonna go ahead and start off here by opening up the cream cheese. Bust this bad boy out of its protective shell there. Once I remember how to open cream cheese, we'll be on the way. Your contents may vary. Seems like the contents of my cream cheese have shifted during flight, but that's alright. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off a section here to save for other meals, maybe orange chicken in the future, maybe something else. Cook something in the crock pot with some cream cheese, but we're going to take this big serving and slap it in our bowl here. This is going to be our mixing bowl. Go ahead and put this up so I don't forget. Now that we've got our cream cheese in the bowl, we're going to add a few of these sauces here just to increase the flavor. We've got some sriracha, only the real stuff. I don't mess with any of that fake sriracha. You don't want to put too much, just a few drops there. Ooh. Okay, a couple of technical difficulties there, but now we're going to go ahead and add in the hoisin sauce. This stuff is really, really good. Don't look up what it is. You might get frightened. Just going to add a little bit of this. You don't want to go too crazy. It's not a overwhelming flavor per se, but you could easily overdo it, so best not to do too much. Next we're going to add in the low sodium soy sauce, just a little bit, just for flavor. Everything's going to have some amount of soy sauce in it in this meal. Alright, and then just because it's Dad Island, we're going to put a little bit of orange juice from the jug in there. I know what you're thinking, this is an awfully wet mixture, but that's okay, it'll fold in just fine. Something important I wanted to note while I'm mixing this all together is everyone will give you a best way to do it, or you should fold it in, you should mix it in, you're gonna hear all this chef jargon. I don't have any of that. I just want you to do it however you can, to the best of your ability. And that's all that matters. Just get that stuff mixed into there until you have a pretty consistent cream cheese concoction. I'd say this looks pretty good and mixed in for what it was when I started, so we're gonna go ahead and be alright with this. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to fold your own wonton. There are plenty of techniques, plenty of different ways to do this. This is just how I like to do it. It's kind of like the donut method, I guess you could say, but you're going to want to get a little bit of water on your finger, not too much, but just enough to coat the edges of the wonton wrap, like so. Once you've got water on all of your 4 edges like that, you're going to want to make it like a diamond like this, and take your bottom point and match it with your top point, and then go ahead and press down on the creases, on the lines like that. Make yourself a nice little Dorito shaped package here. I think that's pretty cute. Then you're going to take your wonton and just press into it like this. Make a little indentation, like so. Give it a nice little bend to it. And then you're going to want to add some water to one of the flaps. It doesn't matter, but that's going to be your back flap. And then you're going to match these two together, press them, stick them, boom. Traditional wonton fold.
Legalize nuclear bombs.
Now that we've got our comically oversized chicken breast in front of us, I'm going to cut this into about 1-inch cubes, I would describe them as. You can cut them however you want, that's just how I like to do it. I am using chicken breast, is what I have available on hand. People like to use chicken thighs, and that's perfectly fine. If you're a thigh man, go for whatever you want, but chicken breast is what we have accessible on location today, so we're going to be making this out of chicken breast. I like to cut across the length of the chicken, make these long pieces, and then cut them into the smaller chunks. If you hear hissing in the background, that's the rice cooking. Sorry about that. That means good things are happening, though. I like them to be about this big. This is a easily chewable piece. Any bigger than that, and it gets a little bit uncomfortable to eat. So cut them into about 1-inch cubes, triangles, whatever shapes you can manage. Alright, we're gonna step over here and season our chicken. I do not deep fry the chicken for orange chicken anymore. I used to do it like that. I would bread it in panko breading and deep fry it, and while delicious, I don't find it entirely sustainable if you're going to be making this meal very often at all. It's already a treat, so to deep fry it to me is a little extreme, but Panda Express does it that way. Chinese restaurants do it that way. You can do it however you want. I'm just going to use chicken with no breading. We're going to go ahead and throw some seasonings on here. So I'm going to start with some salt. I've got that pink salt because I'm trendy. That's what they have at the store. Also, we're going to grind some black pepper onto there. I have learned recently from some cooking channels on YouTube that after you grind black pepper, it tends to lose a lot of its notes about 30 minutes after you grind it. So if you want, grind your own pepper. It's usually better that way. Alright, after the pepper, we're going to add some more garlic powder. Big fan of this stuff. I am a white boy, so love garlic powder. We'll do some onion powder as well. It complements chicken pretty nicely. I have a tendency to over-season things, so do whatever you want, really. Got some paprika here I'm going to add just mainly for color. It doesn't add too much, but I like it. And just for fun, don't tell anybody. We'll put a little bit of chili powder, not much. We have heat-sensitive people in the house, so this is going to have to be it. Next, we're going to go ahead and add some olive oil to the pan to heat it up. This is Tunisian olive oil. Shout out to Tunisia. Got the pan on medium heat. We're going to apply a fair amount of olive oil, not too much. It's important not to add too much oil because you're going to be mixing stuff into this later, so just enough to coat the bottom of the pan is usually good. I may have even put too much, but it's olive oil. If you're using vegetable oil or canola oil, you want to be really gentle because you don't want to be eating a bunch of oil, but that's just my opinion. It's time for the main star of the show now. We're going to be making the orange chicken sauce. I have it written down my wizard spell book here, but I'll go ahead and explain it to y'all so you have some sort of idea. And we're going to start with 1 cup of orange juice. Very nice. I'm a big fan of orange juice. Go ahead and add that in there. Okay, next up is a tablespoon of soy sauce. I am just going to add it to taste. I don't want to get out any more measuring tools or utensils, so that's just how we're going to do it. We'll add some soy sauce. Next up, we're going to put in the hoisin sauce. You're gonna want to do about a tablespoon and a half. I just eyeball everything now, so it's kind of to taste, but it's about a tablespoon and a half. We're gonna do a couple of drops of sriracha again, just for the flavor, not too much. About 3 or 4 drops there. Okay, I lied. I am gonna use a measuring tool. I'm gonna do about a teaspoon here of sesame seeds. Can't really have too many of those. They don't taste like anything, so go nuts. Now we're gonna go ahead and add the red pepper flakes. These can be pretty intense, so make sure you only get as much as you're prepared for. I don't do any more than that. That's about fair. Okay, break out your trusty whisk here and go ahead and whisk it all together. Make sure you do any and all flavor testing on the sauce before you add the cornstarch. You can't eat it after you put the cornstarch into it, so make sure it's right before you hit this step. Okay, we're gonna do a tablespoon of cornstarch. This is a teaspoon, so I'm gonna put a little bit extra on it, but there you go. Get the cornstarch added in there now that the flavor's good. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and whisk in our cornstarch here. That's how you make the orange chicken sauce. Alright, I've got my trusty orange chicken spatula in hand. This is the one I always use. So we're gonna go ahead and add this chicken to the pan. Careful not to hurt yourself. If you are inept like me, the chicken cooking was a little bit louder than I anticipated, so I stepped over here into the dining area. After this chicken cooks and we get it to the proper temperature and we've got it a nice golden brown, we're gonna go ahead and add the sauce to it and then stir. I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, now that we've got the oil heated up, the chicken's cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and put our first wonton into the oil very gently. You're gonna need a landing pad for the cooked wontons, so come up with something. Check that out. I will say, these wontons have a tendency to come out a shade darker than whatever they look like in the oil after they've rested, so find about where you want it to be and take it out one step before that. And they do kind of float around in their own free will, so you've just got to kind of bear with it. And if it starts exploding and cheese comes out, it's definitely done. We got our first wonton here. Let that bad boy cool. He was busting at the seams, so he was ready to go. No matter what you do, always be careful when you're cooking with oil. You got kiddos around, anything like that, clumsy people. Be careful with oil. I cannot stress that enough. If you get an oil burn, you will regret it. Wizards don't like oil. This chicken's looking about done, but just to be cautious, make sure your chicken is 165 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what food safety requires, and that's what I would eat personally. Nobody likes medium rare chicken, so just make sure it's cooked completely before you get to the next step. The chicken will cook a bit in the sauce, so don't be too self-conscious. Just do your best. If a little bit of cream cheese busts out of the wonton while you're frying it, no big deal. It happens to the best of us. Everybody has a premature bust every once in a while. It's no big deal. Don't judge yourself too harshly. Just try again. Okay, now that our chicken's at 165 degrees internal temperature, we're gonna add that concoction we made in the cauldron earlier to the pan. Just gently pour it in. and that is awesome. Alright, we've got our sauce reducing over here. Give it a couple of stirs. Make sure nothing gets burnt or stuck to the bottom. You know how it goes. Just mix the sauce, man. At this point in the process, if your chicken looks something like this, you did it right. So congratulations. You are now Shadow Wizard Orange Chicken certified. Now that all of our wontons are done, fresh out of the grease, we're gonna hit them with a little bit of cracked salt. Not too much, you don't wanna go too crazy. We're not like actually trying to recreate Panda Express here, so keep it modest. Modest amount of salt. Once it gets down to about this point, you're going to go ahead and turn your heat to simmer here and just let it continue reducing down into like a sticky sauce. It shouldn't be liquid by the time you're done. It'll form a sticky goop, and that stuff is to die for. Gotta love that goop. Get that goop. Let that cook. This right here is exactly what I was talking about. When it becomes goopy like this, you know you've done it right. Just give it a good stir. Don't let any of your goop accumulate in one spot for too long. Nothing bad will happen, it's just bad juju. Make sure you get your chicken evenly coated in the nice sauce. I like to let it goop up a little bit longer, but you can do it to whatever consistency you find right. Alright, now that your beautiful orange chicken concoction is ready, you're going to go ahead and put it onto a plate. Split it in half, take more food than your significant other, whatever you want to do. Real wizards do what they want. Boom. Boom. Thanks for watching. This is how you make Shadow Wizard Orange Chicken. Have a great day. Make it yourself. Watch the next video, or don't. It doesn't really matter. Peace. Drinking, getting full of that purple drink, that codeine from the scene, getting full of that purple drink, that codeine.